Good afternoon, class. Can someone hear me?
Yes po. Good afternoon po, attorney.
So,
Afternoon po.
ano kayo, nakahiga?
Nasa sasakyan po.
Good, that's good. Talagang kailangan natin multitask, no? So anyway, so walang nagka-cam talaga, no? So paano ba 'to? Magka-cam ba ako? Wag na lang, be. Tingnan ko daw, be, kung anong tsura ko. Yan. Oh, di ba? Laban kayo dyan. Anyway, so good afternoon. So here we are again. So it's nice to be back online. So I have all. I will have my discussion only until 1:30, and you will have a quiz on chapters 14 and 15. And of course, while I'm lecturing this, you have to prepare your PowerPoints already. Make sure that they're ready, posted on your walls or on tables before you start the exam. The exam starts at 1:30 and will end up at 3. There are 55 points, and it is around 1 hour and 30 minutes. And by the way, I'm sorry if you will hear sounds, no? Kasi nandito ngayon sa condo may mga construction nangyayari. So hindi natin mapigilan po. Are we good? Can I see any indication that I am still audible? Yes, thank you very much. Paano ba to ang participant? Participant. I don't know what to click now. Anyway, for as long as we're okay, then that's fine. So we will discuss chapter 16, and please make sure that you are turning off your microphone, no? Kasi para tuloy-tuloy po tayo. Where are saan ba yung people? Oh, come on, you are here now. I saw you, people. So, could someone check the attendance? Sino ba yung may pwede natin mapakiusapan dyan mamaya? Okay, so chapter 16 talks about bankruptcy, divorce, and tax fraud. I will be discussing only until 1:30, and there is still I believe that I could not finish chapter 16, but I will record the remaining portion of chapter 16 as well as section 17, and I will put that in OneDrive so you could have an access. Now, another announcement is that regarding our midterm next week, I am thinking that it should be also thinking that it should also be online, but it would be only within our time frame. Ano sa palagay nyo? Can someone speak? Okay, everybody is busy, of course. It is expected. How could you not expect? This is the time wherein we are, recovering. We are doing our things while listening to the lecture. But anyway, since I hear nothing, I will just update you on any development. So I will,
Sir,
yes,
on behalf of our section, I guess, agree naman po na online po yung midterm.
pero may
Kasi
yes, go ahead.
nagre-react po sila ng heart and light po.
Okay.
I
Okay,
guess hindi
so
nila po nakikita.
Yun nga eh kasi may ang system ko kasi dito I'm facing my alam mo na guys, no, off the record, if you are my age or not my age, if you are not familiar with computer, na bago na naman, because if you notice in our lecture I'm using that Apple thing, and then now I'm go back to PC, and then there's a little screen here where I could see your faces, and I'm facing the monitor, so hindi ko na rin alam, hindi ko nakikita, but anyway, that's good to hear. But can I have a compromise also that our quiz would be on our allotted time? Pwede po ba?
Okay lang
Sir,
naman po.
mag-vote na lang po sa chat if okay po sa kanila. Pero pag
Oo,
may pag may no po, siguro po ikaw na po mag-decide.
Sige, sige. Pero maganda naman yun kasi all throughout naman yun, eh. Unlike ang quiz natin ngayon is 1 hour 30 minutes. You know, this is controlled environment. How could I, oh, di ba? Alam nyo yun. How could I ensure that you will be participating or attending? This, the only way is that to, not really to have a quiz, but this has been scheduled already. So I guess having the midterm exam next week online would be good, and it would be within our time frame 12 to 3. Okay? Parang ganon. But in the meantime also, if may mga tanong or concerns, just feel free to email me. Yes, there is somebody raising a hand. I don't even know how to do. Chin, yes, nag-email ka sa akin. Ano po?
May I ask lang po, am I audible?
Yes, we could hear you, although not that
Okay.
strong, but we could hear you.
I'm sorry, sir, but my classmates are telling me po if ano daw po, if I can ask you, kung yung quiz daw po is through ebook. Kasi most of us po hindi po nakakabili ng ebook because it's always out of stock po sa TAMS.
Mm-mm. So I raised that already to the department, but the answer that I got was that tell your students to email Ma'am Lady Madrid. Perhaps that's the thing, no? Email her and then it'll continue. So your concern is on our activity?
Yes po, yung quiz po mamaya, it's ano siya, Canvas or on Cengage po.
Canvas po siya.
Okay po, thank you po.
The quiz later on would be in Canvas, but of course, it would be advantage if you have an ebook. Not really too much advantage, but some of the discussions, or rather, some of the questions are taken in the discussions there. But PowerPoint would be helpful also, particularly on skimming, kinds of those things. No? So it is in Canvas. It will be open at 1:30, and of course, you have to take it. So kayo ngayon dyan, gawa na kayo ng group chat nyo. Group chat. Oh, for quiz. Go for the win. I'm just kidding. Okay. So that would be the introduction amount. It's already 12:05. So we have here bankruptcy, divorce, and can someone check the attendance para hindi na tayo mag-roll call? Sino ba yung pwede natin mapakiusapan? Ikaw na lang, Chin.
Sige po, sir.
Thank you very much. So may +5 ka na naman.
Sir, saan po
Talaga.
po isa-set?
Isi-send mo dito sa ano, sa what you call that one, sa classroom natin, and also i-CC mo doon sa inbox kasi para ma-reflect ko doon, para malagay ko lahat ng attendance natin. Okay, so without further ado, I will proceed with chapter 16. If you notice this, there are 3 things mentioned here. One is I cannot read the yes po. Anyway, it talks about 3 things: bankruptcy, divorce, and tax. Okay, so all of this somehow involves money or property or even both. That's why in the later discussion, you would see that people are not letting go of things despite the fact that that is their obligation. Like, for example, bankruptcy. Sometimes you are hiding things despite the fact that in bankruptcy, you have to lay down all your properties, which are apparently insufficient to cover your liabilities. Similarly, in divorce also, spouses are hiding properties before the court could declare or issue a divorce decree. We will discuss also later on that in the Philippines, I would like to make this clear from the onset, that there is no divorce. No? There is no divorce. Instead, we have nullity of marriage or annulment of marriage. Madiscuss natin yan mamaya. And for those who have gone or attended tax subject, you know what is tax fraud, no? When you see fraud, again, there is really a deliberate or an intention to hide something in order not to pay proper tax or not to pay tax at all. So in this chapter, these are the things that are expected for us to learn. No? First, why is fraud also existing on these 3 things: bankruptcy, tax, and divorce cases? Secondly, what is the nature of bankruptcy? Why does people file bankruptcy? And of course, are there liabilities, criminal or civil, if a person fraudulently filed a bankruptcy? Meaning he pretends, or the company pretends, that he cannot pay, or rather he's insolvent, but the truth is it has properties. And who are the persons involved in bankruptcy? Also different kind of divorce, etc., etc. And perhaps we cannot proceed later. We cannot reach AMLA. No, we will discuss money laundering next time. So I'll proceed now. It is stated here that fraud is common in bankruptcies, divorce, and tax cases. The reason here is highlighted on words, uh, in green, no? Ano ba tawag doon? Not green words, but words in green, something like that, no? Assets are taken away and to be given to someone else. So yun po yung nangyayari. Sa bankruptcy kasi, kukunin lahat ng gamit mo or lahat ng properties mo, and pamimigay po yan equally, or if not equally, based on the liability to each of the creditors. Ganun din po sa divorce cases, and ganun din po pag magbayad ng buwis. So people here thinks of this mode in order to withhold or still to get hold of those properties or money. For example, bankruptcy cases, assets are given to creditors. Divorce assets are divided by spouses. And in tax cases, assets are claimed by the government, especially so if you do not pay proper taxes. So this is the reason why fraud is prevalent or occurring in these three situations. Now, what is the role of CPA? Well, clearly, CPA and other fraud examiners play rather an important role in investigation and testifying in bankruptcy and divorce cases. Before we proceed, I would like to emphasize that in the Philippines, our concept of bankruptcy is insolvency. It has the same import, but in our case, it is insolvency. It is covered by FRIA. For those of you later on, you will be taking business regulatory courses, legal issues. So you would notice that the term used there is insolvency. And of course, we don't have divorce. Ngayon pa lang, sasabihin ko, bakit ano ba yung pinagkakaiba ng divorce? Sa divorce kasi, class, is that the government is not really particular as to the reason why the couple are separating. Okay? One day you wake up, or one morning you wake up and you don't like your spouse, husband or wife, then you could file a divorce case in court. Unlike in the Philippines, that's not the case. The law is specific under the family code as to the grounds where a person could file a nullity of marriage or annulment of marriage. Okay? Testifying fraud, tax fraud. Now, as I always emphasize to you, the discussion of our text is based on U.S. Scenario, or U.S. Situation, like IRS. Now, there's no IRS here in the Philippines, but we have under our BIR. Now, we have the Anti-Tax Fraud Division, the BIR. We have also NBI, National Bureau of Investigation. It has also an anti-fraud division, such that if matters on fraud relates to payment of taxes, then the BIR as well as the NBI would investigate and possibly file a case against you before the DOJ and eventually the Court of Justice. It could be regional trial court, or it could be Court of Tax Appeals, depending on their respective jurisdictions. On the last bullet of our slide, it states here that there is this rate program. The BIR is encouraging people really to participate on the program of the government, particularly to make sure that people are paying their tax religiously and appropriately. That's why they have this rate program. Rate is run after tax evaders. In fact, under this program, the BIR offers incentives to those persons who could report per, entities or even individuals who do not pay proper taxes. And in order that this program is really it will work, the persons reporting there are uh, under the privilege or under confidence. So they will not be disclosed. The BIR on the MinBI will not disclose their personality. Ang tawag sa kanila is confidential informant. So you have here the objective of the program is to investigate criminal violations of the tax code and make tax evaders pay for the government. In fact, there was a time, if you recall, that in order for the BIR to raise revenues, they have this program that whenever you buy property or you buy things, sales, you have to text them your receipt or receipt number. And then those receipts would be raffled through your text or email, and then they will be the government through BIR will give prizes. No? This is to encourage again persons or people to make sure that they really demand receipts on the transactions that they have made. We discussed last time that without receipt, the entity, the seller, the vendor may not report that sale or the transaction, and thereby creating a situation that there is no income and therefore there is no tax. Now, now, so we're talking still of fraud, particularly on bankruptcy. So in bankruptcy, you have here that while the government under our FRIA, which I'll discuss later on, Financial Rehabilitation and Insolvency Act, allows entities and even individuals to file insolvency, or in the United States, they call that bankruptcy, or in other states, this is a right, still the government would see to it that the petitioner or the applicant is true to his allegation. As I earlier said, there are times when the applicants would say that they don't have money, but in reality, they have. That's why in bankruptcy, there are criminal acts. So we have here, once a petition for insolvency is granted, the debtor insolvent is discharged from all his existing debts. Thus, the decision to file insolvency should not be taken lightly. So in other words, could you imagine if you are a person, if you are an entity, then you file that and you file insolvency, and if you could able to prove that there is really you are really insolvent, meaning this does not mean na wala kang pera, but it's just that the assets, your assets, is insufficient compared to your liabilities, and such asset could not pay off these liabilities when they fall due. So in that case, you are insolvent, but this again does not mean that wala kang pera. Now, so in the event there is fraud, no, and we're talking now of our Philippine law, no, or Philippine laws, or particularly the FRIA and the Revised Penal Code. We know that Revised Penal Code this is a book which enumerates offenses or crimes in the Philippines. So we have here, if you file, what would happen if you file a petition for insolvency in our country under FRIA, and it turned out that you are really not telling the truth, that you are not really insolvent? What would happen? First, of course, on matters of the case, that should be outrightly dismissed. If the regional trial court finds that your petition is not supported by records, it does not reflect the true economic standing of the applicant or the petitioner, then the court will dismiss your petition. And by dismissing the petition, then you will be liable to your existing liabilities, or you are obliged to pay those liabilities. Now, not only that the petition will be dismissed, but the alleged insolvent debtor may be subject to criminal prosecution. So we have already discussed what is criminal prosecution. This is where a criminal case is filed against you and you are prosecuted by the state to answer for those violations, either through your action or through your omission. So what are the common cases that are filed against an applicant or a petitioner who failed to disclose the true facts of his economic standing? We have here, there are a number of cases that an alleged insolvent debtor may face, like, for example, falsification of commercial documents. Because under our FRIA, Financial Rehabilitation and Insolvency Act, documents filed in court must be verified. When you say verified, you must put yourself under oath, meaning to say you swear that all the records, the petition, etc., are true based on your information, knowledge, and belief. And therefore, if those things are not really true, then babalikan po kayo, kakasuhan ka ng pwede perjury. Perjury meaning, pag sinabi natin perjury, not forgery, no, perjury, it is when you make false declaration under oath. Kasi pag under oath ka kasi, you are swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So in those instances where the investigative or investigation body finds that you are lying, you could face this crime of perjury. If you notice in Senate or in House of Representatives, there are always investigation, and there are resource persons or resource speakers invited. Before they could even speak, it is a process that they will be placed under oath. Even in court, if you testify, if you will be a witness before swearing, or even before stating your name, the first thing that the clerk of court will do, or the clerk of office in case of Senate or House of Representatives, is that, okay, please stand up. Please raise your right hand and swear. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings? I do. So the moment you say I do, minsan kasi dati kasi Bible ang nilalagay doon sa kamay, nilalagyan ng Bible. But of course, we are now sabi nila na we are predominantly Christian, but there are those who don't really profess things on Bible but on other, like Quran. That's why yun na lang yung sinasabi. God na lang sinasabi. But that would be another topic, no? Ang point lang natin dito, because of your oath, then pwede ka makulong. That's why in insolvency, even though you're not really actually in person taking an oath, the fact that the documents that you have signed, sa baba po nito nakalagay doon, subscribed and sworn to before me, blah, 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 under an administrating officer, then pwede kang makasuhan ng perjury. Forgery, on the other hand, is of course you signing, you're making a signature that's not yours. You're affixing a signature of somebody and pretends that was signed by him. And another thing is falsification of commercial documents. We learned last meeting that the best way to support your fraud is to falsify documents to make it appear that they are reflective of what really happened. Okay? So, maganda yung lecture ko ngayon kasi nakakapahinga pala tayo pag online, no? Hindi tayo nagta-travel. Anyway, okay. So, the main offense, however, on filing a false case of insolvency is fraudulent insolvency, which is penalized under Article 314 of the revised Penal Code. If you notice, this particular slide are innovations. I've introduced this because as I was reading the ebook, I could see that the laws mentioned there are, of course, American laws. It's good that we learn of these American laws. But my concern now is that for us also to be more aware of our present Philippine law. That's why I included this one. Now, could you imagine if you file an insolvency case and then it will later be found out that there is fraud in it? Then you will be liable for imprisonment. The penalty there is presión correccional as the minimum, and the maximum is presión mayor. You have here in the left side of our screen or slide, presión correccional is penalized from 6 months and 1 day to 6 years, whereas presión mayor is from 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. Could you imagine? No? So sometimes if you are like you are accounting, you are management students, okay, business students. Later on, some of you would be working in capacity as secretary or corporate secretary. You must always make sure and ensure that that you sign or rather that you know the documents you are signing, and that the documents you are signing uh, reveals the truth, and that you have knowledge of it. Otherwise, you would be liable. Okay. Again, the classic case there that I mentioned to you was because of my client. No, my client. We have a hearing again on Thursday on SSS. No, because again there were fraudulent documents, and he's the president of the company. He does not know about it really, because again, being the president, you are not the one preparing the documents, but somehow, since you are a signatory in the corporation's you know uh, articles of incorporation, then you will be liable. So that is, this slide again simply tells us that you will not take, if you are considering filing insolvency, you must be true to it. Kasi sa insolvency kasi, class, ang nangyayari is that you tell the court, I have so many obligations financially. This is all I got. Take this court and please properly distribute this among the creditors. That is basically the layman's explanation of insolvency. So for those cases filed, may mga instances kasi na magbago ka magsampa, may mga kaso na collection of some money, blah, blah, blah. All of those pending cases will be required, advised, required to go to the court where you filed your insolvency, and then they will make their claims there. Okay, so that is it on this slide. Now, so what are the roles of fraud examiners? This is very simple, no? In my case before, I was appearing in the Court of Tax Appeals, and if there are fraud cases or ano po, ang kadalasan ang kinukuha namin yan is independent CPA. We file a petition in the Court of Tax Appeals asking the court to approve our application or our motion that this guy, for example, would be tasked by the court, would be clothed by the court, will be given authority to examine the records of that particular entity, and to report his findings to this honorable court, and to testify on it whether or not those documents are really reflected on the allegations of the person. Otherwise, pag hindi po, then lalabas po talaga yan. And in those instances, ito yung mga fraud examiners like independent CPA, they are, if they are approved, if their qualification, if their qualification and they are given appointment by the court or commission, ang tawag nun, they are commissioned, then they are an officers of the court, as if they are acting on behalf of the court. The interest of the court is their prime consideration, or yes, despite the fact that it is the client that gives him the fee. Okay, so private investigators too, mayroon rin yan. But ang private investigators kasi, ang nangyayari po din, kagaya nito, mayroon kang, let's talk about other case, no? May sinusundan ka. Davao dati ganun, sinusundan niya, nagdududa siya na it is on a spousal relationship, nagdududa. Hire siya ng private investigators, di ba? Sinusundan. Pero itong private investigators kasi, all the evidence that he gathered that are being reported to you would be verified pa. Unlike dun sa mga sa korte na ikaw mismo ang nagsabi. I would like to discuss more of that, but again, that is not covered in our fraud examination subject. Instead, we are just discussing this as an overview. Now, we talked about bankruptcy. Now, there are so many definitions of bankruptcy. It is already 1227. Bankruptcy is a legal proceeding initiated when a person or business is unable to repay outstanding debts or obligations. So this speaks that a person has money. So bankruptcy again is similar to insolvency. A person has money, but those monies or properties cannot accommodate his standing liabilities as they fall due. Divorce, on the other hand, when you say divorce, of course, it presupposes that there is a valid marriage between two spouses. In divorce, one of the parties, or even both of them, divorce, we're talking about divorce America or some states where they recognize divorce, where either one party or even both spouses file a divorce. As I said, sa divorce kasi, hindi the state does not look into the reason, the real reason or justifications of an applicant why the marriage will be divorced, will be severed. So it is a termination of marriage by legal action. Of course, in other words, by legal action, you have to file a case. You have to file a case in court. Sa Japan, mayroon ng may kliyente ako dati na ang divorce nila by mutual agreement. They agree, both themselves, and then they went to this mayor and then filed their divorce. Okay. So one of the effects of divorce is, of course, you are free to remarry, because in divorce, as if you are no longer married, the order of the judge, or yes, the court, erases that marriage. And another thing, if you have properties, this would be divided. That is where fraud would come in matters of dividing the properties. And if there are children, of course, then it would be for award and custody. So, divorce. How about in the Philippines? We have nullity of marriage. Nullity of marriage is governed by the family code. And the usual ground there is psychological incapacity. So here, that is not the concern of our discussion, but it has the same effect. Because if a spouse files a case, he or she wanted that their marriage would be severed, tatapusin na natin to. It is the law that enumerates the ground. Bibigyan ko kayo ng idea. Sana nandyan pa kayo kahit nakakakumakain kayo. Pwede ko bang makita yung isang thumbs up dyan? Ay, salamat naman. Thank you. Happy naman ako doon. Tingnan mo sa ano po tayo. So sa divorce, okay? Sa nullity of marriage kasi ang nangyayari is that titingnan muna ng korte kung may anak kayo. For example, by the way, sa nullity of marriage kasi, ang ground po nito nag-i-exist na before the marriage. May tanong ako sa inyo parang ganito. Ako ay gay po ako. Gay. Okay. Tapos nakilala ko si Love Love Love. And then naging kami. And then sinabi ko sa kanya, Love, gay po ako. Pero na nakita kita, nagbago ang taste ko. Taste talaga, no? Nagbago ang preference. Sorry for the word. Nagbago ang preference. O talaga? O sige, nagpakasal kami. Boom! Pakasal kami. After marriage, nagtaka si Love ko na parang bumalik ata ako sa pagka-gay. We have nothing against LGBTQ, RST. We are for the discussion on the effect, no? So ngayon, nalaman niya. Ay, attorney, ano ba? Pasensya na, Love ko. Iba talaga pala yung feeling ko. I'm looking for a guy, parang gano'n. Or tanong, ground ba yan siya sa annulment or ground ba yan siya sa nullity? Yan. Tanong yan. Or another scenario, hindi alam talaga ni Love na gay po ako. Because pag magtayo ako, lalaki. Lalaki ako. Ganun, no? Lalaki akin. Okay. Pakasal kami. After a while, there were manifestations that I'm a gay. Ano po ang ground niya? Or rather, ano po yung recourse niya? Can she file annulment of marriage or nullity of marriage? What is the difference? The difference is that in nullity of marriage, the ground has existed before the marriage. Whereas in annulment of marriage, the ground was shown after the celebration of marriage. Yun po kasi yung mga discussion. But anyway, mayroon lang po tayong idea. Now, in nullity or annulment of cases, ang inuuna kasi ng korte is that tinatanong niya, oh guys, mayroon kayong anak? Mayroon. Ilan po yung anak niyo, blah, blah, blah. And if it is minor, then they will decide as to who will have the custody in the meantime that the case is being heard. Kasi annulment or nullity would last around 2 years or so. Pag 7 years old or below 7 years old, automatic po yan. The general rule is that it goes to the mother because of material Rather, not material, maternal needs. Now, ang pinakamasaklap kadalasan, the hard thing in nullity and annulment of marriage, ang properties. This is where fraud would come out. That's why we have here, there are three types of the presence of fraud. Number one, bankruptcy or divorce resulting from fraud. Ano nangyari po dito? Bankruptcy or divorce resulting from fraud. In other words, somebody committed a fraud. And then because of that, the corporation gets bankrupt or the spouse filed a divorce case. Okay? Another thing is bankruptcy and divorce used to perpetrate fraud. Used to perpetrate fraud. Oy, may humahabol. Hindi nila alam mamaya. Mag-check pa ulit ng attendant. Ay, hindi pala kayo makaalis kasi may quiz. Okay, now, to perpetrate fraud. To perpetrate fraud. Sana wala tayong fraud sa ating attendance. Okay, so to perpetrate fraud meaning it would be a tool, no, to commit fraud. So dito sa bankruptcy, perhaps nag-file ka ng bankruptcy pero hindi ka nagsasabi ng totoo. Okay, wala talagang ground na insolvent kasi same is true with divorce, no? Na sabihin mo ganito ganyan but wala pala. So that is a way where fraud is perpetrated. And bankruptcy or divorce used to conceal fraud. So let's have a clear example of this. So first is bankruptcy or divorce resulting from fraud. Here, because of fraud, assets of the company dissipate or disappear, leaving only few to answer for liabilities. So ito yung situation na may fraud na nangyari. There is company, ACB company, and then may mga fraud doon, di ba? Kagaya doon sa, lalabas po yun, doon sa ating scandals na diniliscuss, di ba? Dahil sa fraud, hindi na kayanan ng company. Nako, na-bankrupt po sila, nag-file sila ng bankruptcy. Okay? So in other words, fraud there ang nauna resulting to bankruptcy. Another scenario is fraud ang nauna resulting to divorce. Ito yung mga instances na couple kayo, spouse kayo, and your spouse is found to have committed a crime, no? Estafa, for example, large-scale estafa, lahat-lahat, nakulong, blah, blah, blah. And you know for a fact under our law also that if a person is married, and then or not even married, no, but he is found guilty of a crime involving moral turpitude, and also the sentence for imprisonment is more than 6 years, then pwede na nga yan ang asawa mag-claim na, ako na po ang mamanage ng property natin because again, automatic, the civil right of that person is suspended. Okay? So yun po yung sa first scenario. Second scenario, ginamit po nila ang bankruptcy or divorce para makagawa ng fraud. During bankruptcy, nag-file sila ng bankruptcy or divorce, then the court issues a stay order. Alam nyo ba pag nag-file kayo ng bankruptcy, hindi mo na, mayroon tayong tinatawag doon na stay period. Or kung sa annulment naman or nullity of marriage, mayroon tayong tinatawag na cooling off period. Kasi minsan kasi, kagaya nyo, kagaya ko impulsive. So minsan, magagalit kayo, file agad ng nullity of marriage. So baka impulse lang yun, no? Or if there is really a ground, would there be another, settlement or forgiveness, something like that. So in this case, the law gives the parties, if it is a nullity of marriage, time, no? The spouses, or if it is insolvency, the creditors also, to stay put, meaning there will be no action against each other. There will be no movement. So if you file an insolvency case now in the Philippines or bankruptcy, ang sinasabi lang dito, wag mo nang galawin yung mga properties na yan. Kung ikaw din spouse, wag mo na kayo magkakasuhan pa. Antayin muna natin. And under our law, it is 60 days cooling off period until such time nga naka-recompose na kayo, and after 60 days the case will be set for initial hearing, or ang tawag na nga sa piskal doon is for determination of collusion of evidence. Then titingnan po Baka ang isa lumambot, ang isa nagpapatawad, or ang isa naman nanghihingi ng tawad, so on. But if those things will not happen, then doon na po tutuloy ang kaso. Dito po nangyayari ang fraud. However, during this stay period, there are debtors or spouses who perpetuate fraud. Spouse fraudulently transfer assets to other individuals usually related. May mga instances na ganyan. Pagsampa ng kaso, or bago pa nga isampa ng kaso ng annulment or nullity, nililipat na muna yung property, tinatago. I have a case, I have a client there in our school, nullity of marriage, and before, not nullity, vowsy, violence against women and children. When we file a case against the husband, nung alam niya, and during the transition na magsasubmit siya ng counter affidavit, nako, bininta niya yung sasakyan, bibinta niya yung kanyang MUX. MUX ba yun? MUX. No? So yun bininta niya. That is not supposedly allowed. So here, yun ang fraud. Or debtor also. Sa batas kasi natin, walang movement dapat. In fact, you have to show that 6 months prior to the filing of insolvency in the Philippines, there must be no movement of your properties. Wala na pong gagalaw po dun. Kasi kung gagalaw, then ibig sabihin, you are committing fraud. You are hiding your assets and you're telling the court, hey court, this is all I got. But the truth of the matter is, you have other properties you're hiding. You just don't want that to be given to creditors. So again, going back, that is a criminal offense. So these are situations where uh, bankruptcy and divorce are used to commit fraud. And finally, bankruptcy and divorce used to conceal fraud. Ito naman, this type of fraud generally results in books and records of the debtor or marital partner. Dito, astig dito, nagsusunugan ng mga dokumento, tinatago, bahira, wala ng dokumento. Again, para lang ayaw nilang hatiin dun sa spouse nila. Remember, there was a case about sweepstakes fraud in the United States. Grabe to, nakulong talagang babae na to. Kasal siya sa kanyang asawa. Nanalo siya ngayon ng lottery. Okay? Hindi pa muna na-disclose na nanalo siya during the existence and validity of their marriage. Dinivorce niya yung kanyang spouse. Lalaki, babae siya, dinivorce niya. Pag divorce ngayon, ang spouse naman walang magawa because again, sa Amerika, the reason there is could even be personal. Ayaw ko na sa'yo. Wak, yak. Why did I marry you? I was blinded. Parang gano'n, no? Napakasaklap, no? So the government or the law there does not really look into the reason for the divorce. Yun. Wala lang, fine. And eventually, it was found out na yun pala. Nanalo pala siya. And it was not even shown whether that was the reason for the divorce or talagang may other reasons. Pero sabi ng korte, no. During the time of your marriage, you won that lottery and half of that would go to your husband. O, di ba? So yun ang nangyayari dito. Minsan tinatago, lahat-lahat, but eventually malalaman po yan. Tax fraud. Okay, 1247. Tax fraud. We know tax fraud, but the word itself, it talks about taxes a person doesn't want to pay exact amount of tax or will not pay at all. No? So it could be committed by a government, it could be committed against any government by an individual person, by an individual. So any person. Under the law we have, when you talk about person, it could be artificial or it could be juridical. I'm sorry, artificial or juridical, or if you have, we call that human persons as natural persons. No? So natural or artificial, natural tayo, human beings, artificial creation by law. It could be sole proprietor, it could be partnership, or it could be corporation, or even it could be association, organization, etc., etc. So if you notice here also, the slide talks about a situation reflecting of a U.S. environment, federal government, blah, blah, blah. However, this is similar to us also. We have, again, tax fraud division in the NBI and also in the BIR. So, sa kanila, IRS sila. Sa atin dito is we have the audit, no? We have the audit, commission on audit, and then they will recommend the filing of the case. And most often, when you talk about tax evasion, usually after after the filing of tax return. Ganun talaga yun. File ka ng tax return mo ngayon, you are not true, you are not honest, and then you declare that you have only this much income, and then by cross-referencing, nakita dun. For example, mayroon po akong kliyente, mayaman, FEU. Binayaran po ako ng tax. Ganito, like for example, 5 million. Dapat mag-declare po ako ng income in order income tax will be deducted from that 5 million. Hindi po ako nag-declare. Kinuha ko lang yung 5 million. Unless, of course, na mayroon ng withholding. Pero let's just assume na walang withholding. Hindi nag-withhold ang FEU, but instead, they give me the entire professional free of 5 million. Ganun. Now, it is my obligation to declare that income so that corresponding computation will be made and that deductions or taxes will be paid. Ganun dapat. Hindi ko ginawa. I would be liable for tax evasion. So ngayon, hindi pa yan malalaman. But eventually, when FEU files its own income tax, there are declarations there that it could be considered as payment to professional individuals. So it could be an expense. So by cross-referencing, you know this, it would appear, oh, ito pala yun eh. Hindi ni-declare ni attorney. Done. Yun papasok ang tax evasion. That's why, kadalasan, these cases would come after. All cases, if not most, would come after the filing of income tax return. So I will leave to you the definition of tax evasion. This is very self-explanatory. No? The punto lang dito, the point here is that is deliberate. That is deliberate intention really not to pay all or to reduce the payment. May isa tayo kasing pwedeng gawin sa batas, alam niyo yun. We call that tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is proper because you are, availing all of the remedies under the law, allowed remedies under the law to ensure that you will be paying the minimum taxes due. So sometimes, po yun, by the expenses or minsan sa mode of transfer. May mga tinatawag tayo na tax-free exchange. If you are a company A and you're a company B and then you have the same assets, and then it's that instead na bibilhin niyo ng company A, bibilhin ng company B, if they are of the same value under the law, under BIR, under our NIRC, you could execute a contract of exchange of property. So there is no gain, there is no loss because more or less they are of the same value. So walang income, walang losses, and therefore that is tax-free. That is tax avoidance. Parang ganon. Okay? So that is the case there. Now, fraud and criminal investigation, I will skip this one because it talks again about IRS. No? So, ganun rin yan sa kanila. Ang sa US kasi malaki masyado. So, they have this specific IRS revenue. No? Talagang yun lang talaga yung focus niya. May mga ganun din yan sa atin pero dun sa division ng BIR. Now, there's are the tax laws for fraud perpetrators. I want you to read this down, but to read through of this. But again, as expected, I'm telling you that I will not include this in our midterm. And by the way, the coverage of the midterm would be from what to what? 5 seconds, pag wala, from cover 2 until chapter 17. Chapters. Okay, the coverage would be from chapters 1 to 3 and then chapters 14 to 17. Okay, I will continue by myself. Okay, now. So I will leave this to you again on the later part of this slide. There are similar laws. Yes? I cannot really read the comment because what I did was that the large screen here is for my PowerPoint. The small screen here, which is I think 6 inches, order ko ba to dati sa online, maliit. This is where your names are and your profile pic or so. So going back, these tax laws, familiarize yourself, but expect that I will not ask from this because they are covered, they are US laws. This simply shows how severe or how serious the fight of US government from persons who commit fraud through evading taxes. Now, divorce fraud, I discussed this already. A party attempting to prove divorce fraud must prove all of the three following. So we have here a false representation was made by the other party. Second, the defendant had knowledge or belief that the representation was false or made the representation with reckless indifference to the truth. And finally, the defendant had intent to induce the plaintiff to act or to refrain from acting in a certain way. So these are instances wherein you could sue another or you could sue your spouse if you feel that these elements are present. You know that there is false representation. He represented that wala po siyang tinatago, wala siyang property, pero alam niya na mayroon. And then yung representation niya, of course, is false kasi alam niya eh. And then, finally, may gusto siya na wag ka na lang makialam dyan, something like that. No? So that is the element, or those are the elements of, or those are the things that one spouse must show in order that the other party may be charged of fraud on filing of divorce. Most divorce fraud litigation results from one or two of the allegations. So yun nga, anong sinasabi? When you say allegation, it is more of a claim, no? A claim against you. So plaintiff spouse claims that the defendant hid assets, no? Para hindi niya, may nangyayaring ganyan. Ililipat agad, no? Ililipat ang property or ibibenta or worse, maiba pa yung pinapalabas na sa may ano kamag-anak na po yan siya. So that is considered as fraud. And we have here the persons that who are participants in divorce case, of course, partners as expected, and of course, lawyers for both parties and the divorce court. Now, divorce cases with allegation of frauds. With allegation of fraud, arise, the attorney for the other party alleging fraud hires an investigator to locate such hidden assets. In our case here, if we're talking about the nullity of marriage, may mga remedy ang ibang abogado. For example, I am married and then my wife is filing a nullity of marriage against me, no? Nullity. And then I feel that she's hiding some properties abroad because she is abroad, no, she's in Ireland, then I could do some remedy under the civil code, no? Rather civil procedure, discovery modes, pwede yan siya papasabihin, or by investigation. The point here lang is that you and your lawyer must be very, very vigilant on the movement of your properties. Kasi yung mga abogado, yung mga investigator, they rely simply on number one, on the tips, the information given to them by the spouse concerned. So ikaw po dapat ang maingat. Ikaw, alam mo. We're not saying that, hey, kailangan ayusin ko to kasi baka hindi kami forever, maghihiwalay kami. Ano? Hindi ba? Sa Philippines nga natin, advice namin, in my case, advice ko sa mga nagsasama as partners without the blessing of marriage or without the benefit of marriage, like for example, same-sex partnership, or even not same-sex partnership, but of course they are not married yet. Under the law, you are governed by the rule on partnership. And in the rule of partnership, you know better that you have to prove your contribution on that particular thing. That's why sabi ko palagi, kung kasama kayo, dapat resibo pangalan yung dalawa. Pero kung gusto mo maduga ka, ipapangalan mo sa sarili mo. Because if, sad to say, magkahiwalay kayo and there would be distribution of assets, then the fact that your name appears on the receipt is already a prima facie indication that you bought that by your own money. Oh, late daw siya. Oh, late, hindi present. Okay? So, bankruptcy, most common fraud, bankruptcy, we have filings, concealment of assets. So, in all of those three, tax fraud, bankruptcy, and divorce, or in our case, nullity of marriage or annulment of marriage, this really involves the hiding of properties or assets. concealing, katago. Hindi ko 'to ipapakita ganyan, hayaan mo yan siya, ng manloloko, ba't ko pa ibigay ito sa'yo? Alam niyo sa class, 'pag gano'n po ang mangyari, kasuhan mo, advisean mo na kakasuhan niya if for example, couple, and then, ang nangyari is, nagloko, okay? Kung lalaki nagloko, well, concubinage. Babae nagloko, we call that adultery. And then mapatunayan mo, file a case against her in court criminal. Because if the court finds out that your allegation is true and he or she gets conviction, then automatically her share or his share will be forfeited in your favor and in favor of your children. Bakit ka pa magtago ng property? Ito kasi yung tago-tago ng property kasi, civil kasi ito, special proceedings. No, ganun magtago-tago, ganyan ka. So sometimes, hindi kasali sa listings or i-transfer agad nila yung assets sa family members nila na may utang sa doon, tapos ganito. So that is the usual happening on bankruptcy fraud. So we have here, bankruptcy fraud also involves schemes like petition mills, multiple filings, dami kang na-filean, false statements, trustee fraud, no? Ibig sabihin, hindi talaga siya yung trustee supposedly kasi is a person who acts on behalf of the ward. Kung ako po yung guardian, I will be acting on the ward. Ang fraud kasi doon, inappoint po ako ng tita mo. Ikaw po yung ward ha, minor ka. Ako po yung guardian. Pero may sabuatan kami ni tita mo or sino mang next in line sa iyo. Kasi kami ganalasan eh. Pag may asset yung anak, sino ba yung maghahabol doon? Anak ka, wala ka ng parents, di ba? Sa'yo po yun lahat. Minor ka pa ngayon, di atat na atat. This is in practice, no? Atat na atat yung mga si uncle at saka si auntie. So minsan ginagawa nila, makipagsabuatan sila to whoever will be appointed as trustee. Of course, attorney fraud, ito naman, lawyer ang under our laws, it is unethical, it could even be criminal for a lawyer, no? Okay? To buy the property of the client and under his custody without the consent of the client. May mga cases na ganyan. Property, may kliyente ako sa Lawag, no? Tapos may mga property siya, ang dami. So ngayon, papalabas ko na bininta ko sa iyo. But actually, dami ka lang. Or minsan, wala talagang nangyayari. Ako lang din yung pipirma, but I use another name. Parang ganon. Attorney fraud. Forged filing, any filing wherein it reflects forgery, and therefore it talks about affixing of signatures which is not proper. Credit card fraud, we discussed that already, using credit card by someone na hindi sa'yo. Now, bankruptcy code 1256. I will leave this bankruptcy code because I will discuss to you in a bit or in passing the FRIA. So sa bankruptcy code, ito po yan yung sabi na nila, govern ka ng ganyan, ganito ganyan, creditors to the bankrupt. So I will leave that to you because instead I will be discussing to you this thing. Ito yung slide ko dati sa summer, di ba? So sa mga nanonood diyan ng ganyan. Sino kayo nakakilala nitong dalawa nito sa slide? Wala, no? Walang nanonood ng ganyang anime, no? TikTok lang. Yan. Netsuku. Okay, so Republic Act 10142. Okay, so we have here an act providing for the rehabilitation. I will read later on all your messages. An act providing for the rehabilitation or liquidation of financially distressed enterprises and individuals. Ito po yun, in shortcut nito is FRIA. And if you notice, it talks about insolvency. Pero sa batas natin, dahil sa FRIA, if you feel that you are insolvent, file ka ngayon, ang sabi ng batas, ang korte ay tinatahasan. The court is given the responsibility and duty to see to it whether or not you or the entity could still be rehabilitated. Yan pong ibig sabihin nito. In other words, the law says that the law gives a person a second chance or a company a second chance. Like for example, pandemic, wala na eh. Ano na tayo? Insolvent na tayo. Insolvent wala na. Tapos i-liquidate na yung assets natin. Proceeds against liabilities, no? Plus against minus. Sabi ng batas na 'to, no, 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 sandali, sandali. Titingnan muna natin, baka puwede pa natin ma-rehabilitate 'yan, gano'n. Ang iba naman directly, they file a rehabilitation. Because later on, you would know one of the or the effects of rehabilitation, suspension of payment, etc., suspension of cases, and so on. My point here is that if we discuss or if we went through those slides referring to the action, referring to the laws of United States, we have our own law too on insolvency, and that is Financial Rehabilitation and Insolvency Act. So ito po 'yon. Sabi nga ng batas, sabi niya, ay sandali lang. Kung may utang at may mga kautangan, kailangan niyo pag-usapan. Baka pwede pa. Kasi pag magsampa ka ng kaso, tedious po yan siya, litigious po yan siya. Mahirap po yun. So, tingnan muna natin. So, Section 2, Declaration of Policy states that the debtors are encouraged to resolve and adjust their claims. Competing in the sense that iba po yung claim ng debtor sa kaysa creditor. Creditor, of course, is to see to it that he will be paid with the debts or whatever obligation and interests. So sometimes, sabi ng korte, sandali, baka hindi, ina-acknowledge mo ba may utang ka dito? Opo. Ina-acknowledge mo rin ba nagpautang ka dito? Opo. And then, ina-acknowledge mo ba hindi makabayad? Opo. Alam mo ba hindi siya makabayad? Opo. O ano ang pinagtatalunan natin ngayon? Ang amount. Something like that. So, because of that, there are competing claims and sometimes it's better to settle, to go down, to meet halfway, to avoid the thing about litigation. So, ito po yung essence, ang gist ng batas. No? The debtors are encouraged na, come on, face your creditors and then talk matters over until kung hindi na talaga, then that's the time that you will file a rehabilitation. So yun po yung mga consideration ng state why the FRIA was passed. Now, okay, nature of proceedings, I will leave this to you. Now, dalawa po klase yung ano po kasi, yung tawag nito, rehabilitation. We have voluntary and involuntary. Okay, so hindi ito masyado applicable, but ang gusto kong i-discuss sa inyo dito, ito yung ano, kasi rehabilitation to eh. So ang sinasabi natin kasi dito is, although this is part of insolvency, ang sabi lang dito ng batas is that, magpa-rehabilitate ka, dapat tama lahat ng mga facts mo. Pag binago mo yan, i-dismiss namin yan. Otherwise, kakasuhan ka pa ulit. Okay? Yun sa rehabilitation. But we'll go to insolvency. Ito yung insolvency. So pag nag-rehabilitate ka, kung hindi na lahat pwede, then i-liquidate ka na. You know what's liquidation, no? Winding up affairs. No? So we go to involuntary. Okay. Yan. Insolvency. Again, I said to you that in the Philippines, the term that we use is insolvency rather than bankruptcy. Di ba? Ang Pilipino talaga, mas mahilig talaga to as much as possible not to put the words in a negative sense. Kagaya ng sinabi natin na squatters, pinagbabawal na ngayon yan. Di ba? Alam niyo yun. Ang tamang term doon is informal settlers. Bakit daw? Because according sa mambabatas, it is also a duty of the government to provide housing to its constituents na hindi po makakaya. That's why being there in a certain place, that's not, hindi daw nila ginusto yan. Kaya nga, huwag na sila tawaging squatters, but instead, informal settlers. So here, petition of insolvency. If you are a creditor or group of na may claim ka na 500,000, you may file a petition for liquidation. So yung sabi po dito, this is involuntary. No? Involuntary because the petition, yung na class, nagbibilis na ako kasi alauna na may construction dito sa amin, ang ingay. Ang ingay, it's a floor above us, so medyo maingay. So may mga nagdi-drill. So ngayon, kung ma-dismiss ako ng maaga, mag-regroup na kayo dyan. Sino iba yung katandem, no? Pag nag-take ng quiz. Okay? So ito po yung involuntary and of course, I will leave this to you. Now, ito naman yung sa criminal liabilities, no? Sa bankruptcy. Again, this is more of a US law, so we will skip this one. And bankrupt participant in proceedings, puro to mga US lahat, no? So in my discretion as your teacher, I know na it's good that we have this, but for now, I believe that we must focus on our particular laws that govern bankruptcy in relation to fraud. So we have here bankruptcy and divorce fraud. We have the two most common fraud. We have planned bankruptcy or bust out, di ba? Planned bankruptcy. Noon pa lang alam mo na, di ba? Pinagplanuhan mo, create ka ng corporation, maganda lahat. So ngayon maraming mga stockholders, lahat-lahat, skyrocketing ang value ng stocks nyo, pero may bala ka na pala na eventually that would be bankrupt. Okay? Or not bankrupt, but you have a plan to file a bankruptcy using fraud schemes. No? So you conceal the assets during the contemplation of bankruptcy. Again, pag sinabi kasi natin na bankruptcy, mag-file ka, wala ka nang gagalawin. In fact, it would be unlawful for a receiver. Receiver kasi is a person appointed, no, by the court to manage the affairs of that applicant for insolvency or for rehabilitation. Kasi nga, magiging bias ka pag ikaw pa rin yung mag-handle. No? And insolvency, if ever there is a petition for insolvency, you are not allowed to move your properties even to pay your indebtedness. File ako ngayon ng insolvency, may utang po ako sa iyo, and then you demand payment, I cannot pay you as much as I would like to because I am mandated by the law that once a petition for insolvency under FRIA is filed, I am not allowed to pay. But instead, I will advise you to go to that court where I have my pending insolvency petition. Or better still, I will inform the court that you have claims so that your claims would be added to those list of creditors by the time that the assets will be equally or pro rata distributed. Distributed pro rata. Now, bust out, several forms, but essentially involves obtaining loans or purchasing inventory on a credit based on credit basis and concealing or absconding with the proceeds from loan or sale of inventory with inventory itself before it is paid. So nag-loan ka tapos ang mangyari hindi mo talaga ginamit yung loan because bakit ka mangutang? It's not even good na mangutang ka para ibayad mo sa utang mo. Ang sabi nga nila, you know this, you are business students, mangutang ka, we apply for loan, but see to it that that particular money derived from loan is self-generating. It will cover the interest due from the proceeds or from the income of that loan. So kung mag-loan ka na ibayad mo lang sa utang mo, well, hindi daw yan maganda. So itong bust out, maglo-loan ka, pero talagang itatakbo mo until such time na, of course, mayroon kang bankruptcy. Insolvency is declared and bankruptcy is filed. No? But the creditor find no assets left from which they can be paid. If the scam works, the perpetrator will retain the cash proceeds from the loan. So, yun po yung sa types of sa buyout. So, I will leave to you the indicators of the bust out. Now, debtors or divorces estate. We know that when you talk about property, it may refer only to one single property, like laptop, like a car, like a cell phone, money in the bank. Under our laws on succession, if you would collate, if you would include, if you would the aggregate of all these properties is considered as an estate. So, pangkalahatan po yun, estate. So, I will read this slide. When a company or individual, including an individual who owns an incorporated business, files for bankruptcy, an estate is created. So, pag nagsampa ka daw ng insolvency proceedings or bankruptcy, lahat ng properties mo, ilalagay po yan sa estate. Okay? So, estate consists of property or income in some cases, which will be divided among the claimants and over which the bankruptcy has control. The moment you file a bankruptcy or insolvency case, the court takes jurisdiction over you and over all your properties or your estate. So therefore, you cannot move anything. This slide tells us that there are laws that punishes, U.S. laws that punishes the concealing or concealment of assets. Now, means of concealment, we have here cash received and payment of receipt may be diverted to another entity. Very clear, no? May natanggap ka. But again, alam naman natin, the moment na mayroon kang bankruptcy or insolvency case, you are not supposed to receive any payment anymore. If somebody will pay you, then under that law, you will tell him, creditor, I am not authorized to receive this payment anymore because the court has already appointed a receiver and make your payment there. Ganun po ang dapat. Minsan, tinatanggap at saka dinadivert sa iba. Ganun din po sa mga properties, inventory, assets, sinishift mo nila as I said para hindi makita or ang sales hindi nila nire-report para yung income hindi masali doon sa liquidation of the assets of the insolvent or bankrupt corporation. Or minsan, as I said, gagawa po yan sila ng fictitious individuals to see to it na, oh, may pera dito, may babayaran pa dito, may babayaran pa before they could even file the insolvency. So there are still many, no? Marami pa po dito. So kayo na lang po ang bahala niyan. Indicators, some indicators of possible asset or income concealment, transfer of property or lump sum to related properties. Nangyayari po ito, di ba? Mayroon nga akong kakilala eh, may utang siya sa casino, natalo siya doon. Eh sinangla niya yung kanyang, ano ba yung sasakyan niya doon? Alam ko Montero, tinangla niya. Eh ngayon, talo pa din siya, uwi na siya. Okay. So, pinalabas niya ngayon na yung Montero is nabinta niya. Okay? Nabinta niya sa iba. So, he's trying to to hide, no? Or to transfer. Ganun din sa mga bank accounts. Basta all of these activities really is designed or are designed for you kasi ayaw mo talagang kukunan pa. Gusto mo panalo ka lang. Mag-declare ka ng insolvency or bankruptcy kasi ayaw mo magbayad sa mga kautangan mo. Pero yung assets mo, ayaw mo i-share. So, hindi po ganon yung sa bankruptcy. Nag-file kayo ng nullity of marriage or annulment or divorce and then gusto nyo yung relation nyo i-stop. Pero since inis ka, ayaw mo i-share sa kanya yung assets mo. Doon nalalabas ngayon yung ang personal belief na bakit ko to i-share sa kanya? Why would I share this property? I am the one, okay, who bought this property. Akin po to. Saan siya? Nandun siya, okay? Hiwalay kami. Nandun siya, for example, sa Mindanao. Nandito ako, bumili ako ng ganito. Under the law, for as long as you are still married, the marriage is subsisting and existing despite distance. It could be domestic or international. Still, 1/2 of that property you acquired during your marriage, even using your own money, your wife or your husband has 1/2 share of that. Ganun ka. Kaya yung iba, anong ginagawa nila, iwalay sila, pagbili ng property, pinapangalan na agad. Pero kung kakilala din, abogado, hiwalay na, so bibili ng property, mabait naman yung asawa, at who knows, di ba? Pera po yun, and then pangangailangan, not only pera, may pamangangailangan. So mangyayari is that, hindi, bro, ikaw na lang, boy. Okay? So sa pangalan niya, sasakyan. Pero siyang gumagamit. Diba? Tapos pinapalabas lang nila na mayroon silang kontrata, contract of lease. O upahan ni attorney ang sasakyan na in reality, sa kanya naman. Para in case maghabol si wifey, oh no, this is not mine. Parang gano'n. Look at the records. Go to Toyota, everything. So yun ang circumvention. Concealment again. Okay? Marami pa, no? Rapid reduction in assets. Bigla ka na lang, bago ka nag-file ng insolvency, may mga maraming assets, ngayon wala na. O marami kayong pera sa bangko, alam mo, naghiwalay kayo ni Mrs. mo, ni Mr. mo, tapos maya-maya wala na, ubos na. Diba? So, ganun yung mga, or minsan, nililipat nila sa offshore, account. Kasi hindi basta-basta ma-check po yun because of confidentiality of secrecy and confidentiality of bank deposits, di ba? So mahirap. Kahit may kaso dito, paano naman? And even granting that you are able to secure from the Court of Appeals or the court, regional trial court, as the case may be, where the case is pending, and the court, such court orders for the bank to disclose your assets or your deposit, paano yun? Nasa abroad. Walang jurisdiction ang korte doon. Except lang kung may treaty po tayo doon sa kanila, parang ganon. But mahaba na po yung kwento. Okay? So that is the case there. 113, fraudulent transfers. No? I will just make a stop. No? Hanap lang ako kung saan po akong hihinto. Fraudulent transfers, Article 548. No? So again, it talks about bankruptcy code of the Philippines. But we have also similar provisions on this. Sa atin, sa kanila 1 year, sa atin 6 months. 6 months prior to the filing of an insolvency case, there must be no movement of the properties. Otherwise, kung papayagan po yun na pwede pala, ngayon pa lang, sige, tawagin ko na si attorney, tawagin ko na si accountant, tawagin ko na si auditor, itong mga properties natin, itago natin to, ilipat natin to, and mag-file tayo ngayon. Yan. And the court will just keep quiet or will not check the records. Bawal po yun. So kung ikaw po yung creditor, titingnan mo yun. If you're the lawyer of the creditor, sandali. Tingnan natin sa SACB, ano yung unang assets nila na form sila. Well, go to SEC, check what are the assets as covered by their initial financial statements. Ito pala. Punta tayo ng BRRB, tingnan natin kung saan sa mga assets dito ang na-transfer at anong assets pang na-acquire nila. Parang ganon, di ba? So there is always a way to know. Ang problema lang kasi dito is madugo. Okay? So yun po ang sistema dito sa transfers. Kaya nga iba yung mga mag-aasawa, mayroon silang tinatawag natin na prenuptial agreement, di ba? Prenuptial agreements are agreements concerning the property relations of the parties. Si Sharon at saka si Keiko, di ba? They have this, what you call that one? Prenuptial agreement. So to see to it that before they get married, they have already arrangement that what is Kiko are Kiko's, what are Sharon are Sharon's, and that they will just share on the expenses, and they will be co-owners of the proceeds of those properties. But insofar as ownership of each of those properties, like for example, lupa, taxi, lahat-lahat, kung sino po yung may-ari nun bago sila kinasal, siya pa din ang may-ari nun. So yun po yung one way to avoid fraud in property sa mga mag-aasawa. And then, of course, this is not applicable to us, no? Civil liability. Apart from criminal liability, you could be also liable for civil damages. No? Civilly, you could be liable civilly. In other words, you'll be ordered to pay damages. No? Without supporting evidence, charges of false accusation could result in civil liability against the fraud investigator. So, ibig sabihin, anong ibig sabihin nito? If ever kakaso ka sa spouse mo, or ikaw yung creditor, kakaso ka dun sa debtor, and you're alleging that there is fraud in the filing of insolvency or bankruptcy or divorce, nullity, or annulment of marriage, then you have to prove that allegation. You should always present documentary evidence. We know we discussed 4 types of evidence: documentary, physical, testimonial, and all of those. But again, the best thing, because you're talking about fraud, the best evidence of fraud really are documents. Sabi-sabi, niloko ka. Sabi ko, niloko niya ako, di ba? Even in a simple estafa case, swindling, prove bakit ka niloko. Hindi po pwede allegation lang. Okay? So otherwise, ano mangyari? If you file a case for fraud, violation, or any case, any criminal case for that matter, and you are not able to sustain that with evidence, and the case is eventually dismissed, or worse, the case was the accused was proven innocent. Kasi po pag dismiss ang kaso, it could be on the procedure. Hindi po natapos kasi minsan nag-withdraw or minsan nag-usap, may compromise agreement, so madi-dismiss. Pero if it was decided on the merits, sa kaso na talaga, either you are convicted or you are found innocent, okay? Yun yung delikado. Kasi for example, you are not found guilty, ay ano na yung hassles mo doon, reputation mo, as we have discussed in the past lessons, chapter 1, 2, and 3, no? So, ganun po ang sistema. The civil liability would result if you have false accusations, meaning not supported by evidence. Money laundering, 18. I will edit this slide because I have a good slide on this. Now, I was able to speak on money laundering in one of the review class, and I have an updated, what do you call this one? I have an updated PowerPoint, which is good. No? So money laundering started kay Al Capone. Si Al Capone, isa yan siyang American, Italian swindler, gang leader, organized crime. Ang essence kasi ng money laundering is that you are hiding the source of the money or property that you have because that money was illegally sourced. So si Al Capone dati, kaya nga laundering, ang style niya, marami siyang ano, di ba? Marami diyan sa dati si El Chapo, sino pa yan sila, si Escobar, di ba? Marami silang pera sa drugs, etc., prostitution, extortion, hindi nila madala-dala yan sa bangko. So ginagawa nila, tinatago nila sa bahay nila. Eh ano, masusunog or malalaman. Ngayon, in order to hide the illegal source, si Al Capone, bumibili siya ng laundry shop. Mga laundry, binabayaran niya yan cash. Oh, ano yan? Laundry ko. Wash to go. Mga ganon. Bibilhin niya yun. Cash. That's why money laundering, nagsimula po doon ang concept ng laundry. Incidentally, tugma naman kasi what do you do sa laundry? Hinuhugasan mo po ang masamang linens. So you are trying to, clean this dirty money. So lahat po ito, dahil money laundering po yan siya, you will be liable if you deal with that. Ransom, for example, kinidnap kita. Alam mo yung kidnapping, depende. Pag sinabing kidnap for ransom, I restrict your liberty for money. Kasi minsan may kakilala nga ako dun sa Davao, boyfriend siya, napakasiloso talaga niya. Di ba nakwento ko yan ata sa inyo, bibili siya ng, example lang, bibili siya sa baba ng pagkain o pupunta siya doon sa Jollibee, nilalak niya yung kanyang girlfriend sa room, sa kanilang apartment. Ang girlfriend niya naman pa, sige be, basta dali ka lang be ha. Bakit? Bakit mo ilalak? May darating? Wala kang tiwala or aalis? And besides, that's illegal. Si Bebe naman, in love naman na siya, madly in love or slave to love, papayag. That's wrong, that's wrong. You're tolerating. Kahit wala pang mangyari. It's not na, dahil wala mangyari. Wala naman mangyari, bakit ako? Kasi no, the elements of the crime are already there. Okay, so yun. So going back sa laundering, ganun po ang nangyayari. So, nililinisan mo po. In movies, kadalasan na laundering is sa casino. And take note sa laundering dito, we're not talking here of money that are counterfeit. Hindi po to counterfeit money. They are real money. However, their source is illegal. Ransom, for example, kidnap. Okay? So yan, ang ransom na yan, i-deposit nila, bawal po yun. That's why in our money laundering law, mayroon po tayong tinatawag na suspicious transaction and covered transaction. So anyway, I will end up here in money laundering and I will return this what you call this one? Slide. And then I will give this to you before Friday so that this would be the coverage of our midterm exam. Do you have questions before we start with your quiz? May tanong tayo? Okay, let's bye-bye. Yes, somebody's raising hand. Can I just speak? Tore?
Sorry po, sir, hindi ko po na-realize na naka-raise ako ng hand.
Ano po?
Hindi ko po na-realize na naka-raise ako ng hand.
Okay. Sige.
Stake lang po.
So, I'm giving you the chance to talk. Oh, di ba? Pipilitin talaga no na naka-raise hindi. So, may team na ba kayo? Mayroon na kayong team multiple choice? Kumpleto na ba? Naka-unload na ba tayo? Okay? But make sure wala tayong fraud, wala tayong fraud documentary evidence, no? Bawal po yung i-picturean nyo yung questions, tapos i-accumulate nyo lahat. Sasabihin ko to ha, para at least alam no, may manghingi ng department, baka i-picturean mo yun. Bro, that's the very reason na 1:30 to 3 yan, para ganon. Picturean nyo, tapos bigay nyo kay section 2, section 3, ako, pagpapirahan po yun, di ba? Sayang naman ang GCash. Kahit man lang star. I'm just kidding. I know pretty well that you are very good. Kahit mayroon ang tao, even there is controlled environment or whatnot, I know for a fact that section 1 is section 1. So, I know na we're gonna miss each other, no? Talaga naman na ano tayo dun sa physical. So, ngayon medyo okay na. So, you have other questions? Ang final question is that, sir, ano po yung coverage ng ating midterm? Ang coverage po ng ating midterm is number 1, chapters 15, chapter 16 and 17. So I'm discussing already chapter 16. So I will finish the edited PowerPoint and then email that in Canvas on or before Friday. Our midterm as scheduled po, and then I will announce, but basically it would be online, but during our time also, so that may control po tayo, no? So please wag kayong magreklamo na bakit ganyan, dati sa panahon ng online open 24 hours. That's a compromise, no? So if you don't like that one, then let's have it in person by Monday. Anong sa tingin natin? Wala magsasalita. O sige, class,
Sir, online lang.
mas magandang online. I will not elaborate ha. Recorded tayo, lagot ka. The invalidation of the online midterm exam. Mas maganda talaga. And please, kung wala po kayong ebook for now, I would advise you na doon kayo mag-screenshot. Kasi may mga questions doon. Yun, I'm telling you not already, no? I know na mayroon tayong control and mayroon namang mga circumstances. But anyway, without further ado, please, sino ba yun? Si Sin kanina? Please email to me the attendance so that I could include it right now.
I
And
email it
again,
na po.
I'm sorry?
I email it na po.
Wow. So, pasensya na, may bago na naman akong secretary ngayon. So, talagang may income na po ito. Okay, so again, class, thank you very much for attending and hope you would have a good result in our quiz. Okay, so I'll be until here and I'll monitor the quiz also. I'll be staying up until 3 o'clock. Okay, goodbye and see you on Monday. Nami-miss ko yung kwilahan natin sa classroom. Okay? Good afternoon and I'll be until here. Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Po, sir.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye po.
Sige po.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye po.
Okay.